I've called this a trip round a database of Indian coins. I just called it that because it sounded a bit catchy. So what I want to do is to show you a database of coins, which is at a website which I show there, www.psindiancoins.com. And really my purpose today is to draw your attention to this website, if you haven't already looked at it, because there's a huge amount of information there. And I want to show you some of that information, hopefully some interesting coins, and get people to start using it. I started building this thing about 30 years ago, and I did it as a means of recording what coins I was adding to my collection, so I could see what I'd already got. And, you know, if any others came up, I could acquire them and add them. I've got rid of my collection now, but I've continued to add stuff to this database. Now, 30 years ago, and indeed even today, there was no reliable single source of information about Indian coins. So we had catalogues like Kraus Mishler, which is a bit unreliable, although it's quite a useful starting point. And obviously Pridmore for East India Company coins, which is what I was particularly interested in. And then there were lots of other catalogues around, and also catalogues which appeared, like the great coins of the Indian Sultanates written by Stangoran, and lots of catalogues by Nick Rhodes and his colleague. But trying to find a single source of information, well, it was impossible. So I started putting all the information I had together. Now, to start with, I couldn't really put photos into the database because, well, first of all, digital cameras weren't available. So if you wanted to do photos, you had to take a photo with an old-fashioned camera and scan it and get it in to the database or whatever you were using to store the information. But also the amount of disk space available was really limited, so you couldn't get many photos, or I couldn't anyway, into the sort of devices that I could afford. As technology has advanced, obviously I've had to try to advance my means of storing everything. And now the database really is a database of photos. I would say that the information that's here is being gathered from many different sources. So all sorts of books, journals, photographs from dealers, from a Xeno database, from all sorts of individuals and so on, who've either sent them to me or I found the photos somewhere. And I've just tried to pull them all together. It's not complete, so I would say if you go and look at it, you'll probably find lots of gaps. It probably never will be complete because it's so huge that for one person to actually manage to acquire all the information would probably be impossible. But I do still add stuff pretty much every day. You know, I'm usually adding photos every day, maybe 10 new coins on average. I mean, some days obviously add a lot more, other days none at all. But that does mean around about 20 photos a day. So you can see that over 20 years or so, that amounts to tens of thousands of photographs that are available for people to look at and use however they want. And I should say right at the beginning that many people have helped me either in the past or indeed help me today. Just to mention a few of them, Stan Goran, for instance, gave me his entire card index that he used to write the coins of the Indian Sultanate. So I've got boxes and boxes of cards with photos and other information, many of which I've scanned and put into this electronic database. Bob Johnston has been helping me for years, probably 20 years now, in adding things, correcting and so on, all the East India Company stuff, and also the later Mughal things. He sends me photos. Shailen Bandari, of course, who helps everybody, I think, in the who's interested in Indian coins, but he sends me photos from time to time, particularly photos of new Sultanate coins. And more recently, Amit, who I think is on this thing, has been sending me photos of Gujarat, coins of Gujarat mints. And you'll see that lots of those are in the database. I'm not going to show them all to you because that would take too long. But he has helped me build up all of the mints that are in Gujarat. And indeed, he's continuing to send me photos. But many other people have helped as well. The list is extremely long, and I've tried to keep it up to date, and it is in the database. So now I want to try and get to the database. I'm not quite sure how to do that because my screen's gone completely blank. Right, so if I shrink this and that, and over here, and I want to get to the screen that's covered up by this. Make it small.
Shashwat, do you have any suggestions?
Can you just try opening up Chrome? I'll just stop your screen sharing for once. So give me 1 second.
Oh, I'm losing the audio quality. I want to get rid of this bar at the top so I could.
Yeah, can you try sharing a screen now?
I don't know what's happened there. Right. Here we are. Okay. Can you see that?
Not yet. You need to start screen sharing again once.
Well, now I've lost that screen. Start video. More. Share screen. Right.
Perfect.
Now, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, I've still got stuff all over my screen that I don't want. Okay, now I can see what I'm doing. So this is the screen that you get when you go into the site, and it just gives you some information about how to use the database. I mean, there are a few pretty obvious things. India, in the case of this database, is taken to mean the area covering present-day Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and some parts of Burma, for instance. So India doesn't mean the country of India as it's known today. So you can read all that if you go into the website. I want to start off at sultanates. There are some earlier coins, but I haven't really collected those coins, so there's not much information in it. And I want to start looking at the catalogue of Bengal coins. And you can see what happens when you go into Bengal. You get a bit of information telling you where I've got the stuff from. And over on the left-hand side, you've got these little plus signs, which you can click on. It opens up a list of all the different rulers under the title Early Governors and Sultans, for instance. And if you click on the plus sign again, you get a list of the coins produced under the rule of that sultan. And if you click on one of those, you get a picture of a coin with a description of what's on the coin and the legend that's on the coin and translation of it and so on. Now, when I first started this, not till about 2 years ago, to look at the coins, you had to click on each of these individually. And I got some feedback from a friend that was very tedious. So over the last couple of years, I've been rewriting the whole thing so that you can now click on these things and say, view all the coin types. And you get a whole list of the different coin types. And you can just scroll down through them, which makes it a lot easier to use. The other thing that I might just point out here is that there is a column here called Photo Link, which you can click on and see all the photos that I've got of this particular type. And you can see the provenance here, which are obviously abbreviated, and there's a part of the database where you can look up what these abbreviations are. But if you click on the photo link, you will get the photos that I've got of this particular coin type. In this case, I've got 2 specimens. So that's basically how the thing works. Now, one of the big advantages of the database is that you can put links between different parts. For instance, when I'm looking up coins of Bengal of particular kings who I know have also struck coins in Delhi, I often find it quite annoying in the book to have to try and go from the Bengal coins to the Delhi coins to see which ones belong where. So in various places, for instance, here I've put links in, so I can just click on that and it will show me the coins produced for Mohammed bin Salman at Delhi. And again, you can just scroll down through the coins and see what it was that were produced. Now, for Bengal, I haven't done an awful lot more because Iftikhar Alam and Noman Nazir are working on the coins of Bengal and are going to write a book about it. So I don't feel a great need to do an awful lot more work when I've already done. The database already contains all of the coins that are in the Goenka catalogue, plus a whole lot of new ones that I've found. So just to answer the question, well, why do you bother to do it if it's just all the coins in an existing catalogue? Well, it isn't. There are new coins. So if we go to the Delhi sultans, for instance, I'll just go to the Turkish dynasty, and lots of you will know that there is a woman who was, I suppose, called Sultana. Her name was Radia, the only female amongst the Indian sultans who produced coins. And if we look at her coins, you straight away can see a gold tanker of that's it's struck in the name of her father, Iltutmish, but it's a coin of Radia, very rare. It was not in the catalogue of Goran and Goenka. The first one I ever saw was with a company called Sovereign Rarities, and this is a photo of that coin, and it was for sale for a huge amount of money. And since then, I found, well, I haven't found, Shailen sent me a photo of another coin in a private collection, which is exactly the same type. So as far as I know, there are only two specimens of this type in existence. So that's a new coin. And of course, it's very valuable, being an extremely rare gold coin. I've got an idea the asking price is of £50,000. So how much it will go for now, I really don't know. But there are new coins in this database that are not so rare. If we go down to the later Suri dynasty and Sher Shah, who produced hundreds of different types. If we look at the mintless copper types, for instance, right down at the bottom, there's a tiny coin, 1/16 of a pice, shown here, which again is a new type. It's not in the book. It's one that was in my collection. We can look at a bigger picture of it if you're interested. But again, this is a new coin that is in the database, which some people might be interested in. Now, just to show a different aspect of the thing, I'm going to go to the Kashmir Sultanate. Now, I'm sure most of you know the coins of the Kashmir sultans are similar in some respects, but quite different in others from coins in the rest of the Indian Sultanate series. In fact, I've gone to the wrong place. These are coins of Malwa. I'll go to Kashmir. Here we are. Well, let's choose this chap. The lots of the coins of the Kashmir sultans are these square things. But what I really want to show you here is what I've started to add in and will add in all over the database. It's one thing to be able to see the coins on the screen, but lots of people like looking at them in books and on bits of paper and so on. And you can see here I've added a thing that you can click on that says view or print PDF, and it will produce a PDF file which you can either look at on the screen if you want to, or you can print in the usual way as a PDF. Now, if you go through all of these PDFs, here is the introduction, for instance, to the whole thing. This is taken directly from Stan's book. If you print this off and go through each of the kings printing off these PDFs, you will end up with everything that's in the book, and you put it into your own file if that's what you want to do. And it will have all the new types that I've found and recorded since I started this. So that's talking about printing. I just jump to Moguls to show you something else. Here are the coins of Akbar. Now, all the coins of the Moguls are recorded by mint. And you say, well, Akbar produced mintless coins. Well, he did. Right down at the bottom, you will find all the mintless coins recorded. But I want to show you here, as an example, coins of Ahmadabad. And this is where Amit comes in. He has helped me with loads of silver coins of Ahmadabad, which I'll get to in just a minute. But I just want to point out that I haven't got photos for every single coin type yet. So I don't want you to think this database is complete. As I said at the very beginning, it probably never will be, but some coins I haven't managed to find photos of yet. Here are some of the coins that Amit has helped me with. You can see his name appearing under provenance here. So that means under that photo link are photos from Amit, as well as Steve Alban in that case, and so on. And just to show you something a bit different for the Akbar coins, lots of you will be aware that Akbar introduced a new dating system called Ilahi, and he had Ilahi years. For instance, here we can see 38, 39. But also on the coins, he had months put on. So there are coins that exist for each month. And I'm trying to collect photos of every month, which is a huge undertaking. You can see here I've got quite a lot of months of year 38. Lots of them, photos came from Amit, but also some from dealers and some that I had in my collection. If you click on the photo link, you can look through all of the coins with the different months and so on. So I won't go into that in any more detail. The other thing I want to show you here is that if you click on the mint, you will get a list of all of the emperors who issued coins from that mint, plus other people later on, as the Mughal Empire began to fail. We find that people like the Marathas and the people who ruled Baroda, and indeed even Nadir Shah, who was a Persian chap who invaded India. If you click on him, it will take you to the coins produced in the name of Nadir Shah at Ahmedabad. Here you can see Ahmedabad written on the coin. So you can go through each of the emperors one at a time, looking at the coins of that mint. If we go to Jahangir, for instance, some of you will remember that Amit gave us a talk on the silver coins of Jahangir a few months ago, and I have used his method of cataloguing the coins in this database. I altered the database to fit in with his observations, and he has given me photos of lots of coins that go to build up the database. Right, now I'm going to shut that and have a look at some coins of native states. Now, native states in this list mean all Mughal contemporaries and emergent states. So they're not, strictly speaking, they're not all native states, but I wanted a simple way of describing it. If we look, for instance, at the Nawabs of Arcot, for instance, and we look under the Arcot mint, you can see I've recorded quite a lot of coins here. In the name of Muhammad Shah, there are loads of different sorts of coins. And this is the sort of thing that might be useful for somebody who wants to undertake a study of the coins of Arcot, because there are quite a lot of different types here, which we don't really know much about. So you can see these coins, for instance, have a star here, different shaped star, another star, but down here it turns into a sort of a flower thing, and this one is slightly different. Now we know that some of these different marks indicate different authorities producing the coins. For instance, crescents for the French and so on. The British also produced Alcott rupees with a different mark on. But I don't know what this mark is, or this mark with dots in it. So there's a whole area of study that could be undertaken looking through here at all the different types of coins. So if anyone's interested, go and have a look. Whoops, I don't know what's happened there. I seem to have shut the whole thing. The native states, of course, are a lot of them. So trying to populate this has been a huge effort, actually, and it's still not nearly complete. But if we look at something else, just for interest, choose Mysore. Oh, here's another example of something else that I've done. Here, for instance, a book written by a chap called Henderson about the coins of Mysore. I have, if you click, these blue things are all links. If you click on that, it takes you to the book written by Henderson. And I've scanned in the whole book. So you can actually go through that if you want to. If we have a look at some of the coins, because some of these are quite pretty actually, coins of Tipu, if we go to his main mint and look at some of the beautiful gold coins that he produced. And well, the silver coins are beautiful as well. And I've put in little examples of differences. For instance, these two are exactly the same inscription, but this one has obviously got lots of extra dots and decoration compared to this one. So that's enough on native states. I could go on for ages. So I'll just jump to Europeans. I'll just quickly show you something on Bengal so you can get an idea. First of all, you can see here, I've put some bits called IOR extracts. And IOR is India Office Records. So this is where I have been to the India Office, which is the records are now stored in the British Library, and got into the records, and I spend days and days copying things out. And you can see here all of the extracts from the records that I have acquired, and all of the references. So you could go to the India Office, and using these references, you could find the information about East India Company coins. And this goes on and on for pages and pages. There's an awful lot of information here. So if you're interested, you could do that. Now, most of you will be aware I've written some books on these things, and all of the information in those books is in this database. So for instance, here, where it says Calcutta Early Issues, is chapter 1 of the first book that I wrote. And if you click on here, you get the whole of chapter 1 exactly as it's written in the book. And if we open that up, we can see, as usual, view all the coin types, and you can look through here, and you see, for instance, here I've highlighted comments because that's a link, and that link will take me to the part of the book that refers to that particular coin. So if I click on that, it takes me to the bit that's written about the Ali Nagar Calcutta coins, which is what that is all about. And there are other sort of useful links I've put in. For instance, the Nawabs of Bengal produced a rupee of Calcutta like this before the British reacquired Calcutta after it had been captured by the Nawab. And if we click on that, it shows us the coin produced by the Nawab just before the British recaptured the city. So there are all these links and things going on throughout the database. And really, what else can I show you? Well, perhaps if we just, as a final thing, go to Madras, just so you can see another example of different sorts of information that you can find here. If we go to the bit that I've called the Reformation of the Coinage of Madras, and just choose, oh, I don't know, this one, Court of the Pagodas are good ones to look at because there are an awful lot of them. Oh, that should go to Court of the Pagodas, but anyway, oh yes, it has. Just go back so you can see. That's the Court of the Pagoda that I'm talking about. And there are a huge number of varieties of these. And it's all discussed somewhere else in a paper I think I wrote. But anyway, the dies kept breaking because the metal was so hard. But quite a few years ago now, I acquired the loan of a machine called an X-ray fluorescence machine, which measures the amount of different metals that it can see. That's all you need to know about it. And if I click on the photos, you can see some of the coins that I examined with this machine. And here are the different elements that are in the surface of this particular coin. And you can see here AG is silver. The two measurements I did, one on each side, showed there's about 91% silver in this coin and around about 8% copper, and little bits and pieces of other things like gold, tin, and so on here, a bit of lead. And I went through measuring the metal contents of lots of these coins to see how much silver was actually in the coins, which is another bit of interesting information if you're interested in that sort of thing. I mean, I did the same with the Shah Alam I rupees, for instance. You can go and look at the metal content of those coins. So in brief, I just want to leave you with the thought that this website and the database associated with it contains a huge amount of information about Indian coins, and please go and use it and, well, do whatever you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. That was not a tour around the database. It was a tour within the database, which is even better. There is one question on the chat, which is from the guy who lives in my mirror. The question is, your list of contributors sounded Anglo-Indian. Is this a problem when you consider Portuguese, Dutch, French, Danish Indian coins? Thinking in particular of the many fantasies and forgeries of Portuguese Indian coins, because a guide to the genuine coins would be highly useful. There are also many fantasies of those.
Yes, well, I've had a go at the Portuguese Indian coins. I did have a collection, small collection of those. So you can have a look at that bit. There are a couple of books, one written by a chap called Vaz, and another one that seems to be far more popular now, which covered all Portuguese coins, but included Portuguese Indian coins. And I can't remember his name just off the top of my head, but it seems to be the book that's used now by everybody. Well, what can I say? The forgeries are a problem everywhere. Forgeries at Mysore, for instance, that's a big problem. And indeed, more recently, I've been looking at forgeries of some of the uniform coinage of British India, which are of course, they are machine struck coins, Victoria. And some of the forgeries are so good, it's almost impossible to tell that they're forgeries. And you know, you have to go into the most minute details of different slight differences in one or two letters. Forgeries are a real problem nowadays. Currently, there are whole factories in China just producing forgeries of various coins. So I can't really help very much with that, I'm afraid.
Right. I'm using the Gomez catalog, which is in Portuguese, but
oh yes, that's what I was thinking of. Yes, it's a good catalogue, but it is written in Portuguese, as you say, so I have difficulty with it.
Right. I have another question from Shashwat. Is there a way for people to contribute images?
Yes, you have to send them to me, I'm afraid. So this is not like the Xeno database where you can sign on and then start adding photos. And I think other people have gone down that path. I have chosen deliberately not to do that because I want to make sure that what's added is what I want added. So you send me an email with your photos and I will add them. And lots of people do that. Almost every day I get at least one photo from somebody. So yeah, please do, it all helps.
There are many thanks and encouragements on the chat as well. I have another technical question for you. The spelling, especially of geographical names, but also of personal names, can differ between what language you're using. You can use the English spelling, like Pulicat for PU, but you could use also Paliacate, which is the Dutch spelling, and I'm sure that there are several spellings of the same name in several Indian languages as well. How do you handle those different spellings?
I choose one of them, whichever one I fancy, and that's the one I use throughout the database.
Right. So if you use for the for the same place another spelling, you don't get a hit.
Yes, well, the point is here, this database doesn't allow you to just enter a word and search for things. You have to go through the structure. So, you know, Ahmedabad is spelled the way I spell it, not with an E, but with an A, because that's how I chose to spell it. And, but you can't enter, for instance, in coin archives, it's very annoying because if you search for coins of Ahmedabad, you get a few. You don't have to search for coins of Ahmedabad to get some more. In my database, you click on the word. You can't enter a word of your own, if you understand what I mean. You have to choose what's there. You can't type something in.
Right. Okay. That's really fantastic. One of the members of the audience said that this is the work of a lifetime. Do you feel the same way about it? You've written so many books and articles. Is this the work of your lifetime?
It is, and I am going to publish one more paper, I hope, on the coins of Bengal. It's basically an updated catalogue because more information has become available, and hopefully that'll become available during this year in the Journal of the Oriental Numismatic Society. But I'm thinking that will be the last printed publication I make. And from now on, all my work will be available through this website, and I won't be, but it just takes too long to keep doing drafts, correcting them. Whereas in the database, if there are a few mistakes, I can correct them whenever I want to. So it's easier for me to publish stuff like that. I can see a question here about the silver content of half pagodas from John. Hi, John, wherever you are. The silver content of the coins that we looked at, those quarter pagodas and the half pagodas, is exactly the same because those coins are struck directly onto the Spanish dollars, Spanish American dollars, and the silver content is the same. And indeed, that is what caused the Madras Mint huge problems, because the silver content at that level meant that the metal was very hard, much harder than the purer silver that was used in Calcutta. And it kept breaking the dies, which is why there is such a huge number of varieties.
Right. Since we're looking at the chat anyway, I think that the question asked by Nazanat relates also to the method that you've used for the metal analysis, and I'd like to add a little question to that, which is, how did you do it? I mean, this is not the sort of machine that you can buy in a flea market. Were you able to find somebody who could let you handle those machines, or did he handle the machines for you?
No, well, there was a company, and I've forgotten its name, which is a bit embarrassing. It's a Canadian company anyway, who were interested in getting people, institutions, to use their machines. And in this particular case, it was the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. And so this company lent us the machine for a couple of weeks. And so I used it in the museum to look at a whole variety of coins in my collection. Unfortunately, the museum chose not to buy the machine, but anyway, I had the benefit of using it and demonstrating it to people. I mean, there are a downside of these XRF machines is, of course, it's only measuring the metal content on the surface of the coins, not in the center of the coins. Now, on ancient coins that have been buried, for instance, metal can migrate to the outside of the coin, so you can get very inconsistent readings. These particular coins seem to give really quite consistent readings, unless there were forgeries. So it was quite good at detecting plated forgeries because the measurements were very all over the place, actually. You could see straight away it was plated forgery, which was interesting.
Nazat, has this, have you had replied to your questions?
Sorry?
Did you have an answer to all of your questions now?
Oh, they keep on appearing. Could I ask how long
I
your
wanted
test
I
was?
wanted to ask, is the diffraction, X-ray diffraction data is available for all coins or only for some coins?
Well, it will work on all coins, but if the, for instance, billion coins, which only have a small quantity of silver in, if you do a number of measurements on billion coins, you get quite varied measurements. So it's quite unreliable on those sorts of coins. But if they're fairly pure metal, you will get quite reliable results with this method. The best way of doing it is to chop the coin up and actually measure the silver, but one doesn't really want to do that with coins in one's collection. So unless you happen to have perhaps be a museum or something with hundreds of coins at the same time, this is quite a simple and reasonably reliable, I would say, way of measuring metal content of any coins.
We have also a question from Pankaj Tandon, who is asking how long your test was on each side and what was the diameter of the test area used?
Well, the diameter was round about 1 millimeter circular cross diameter. And how long? I don't remember how long. It wasn't long, seconds, so for each one. So it didn't take very long to do a lot of coins. I could do 100 coins, for instance, fairly easily.
Right. By the way, Pankaj also has a very interesting website, and I hope you'll have the time to take a look at that as well. With that, though,